We are live from Dubai International, and today is the 15th August 2026. Today, India is celebrating their Independence Day. Yesterday, Pakistan celebrated its Independence Day. Anyway, we are live from Dubai International, and we are going to. We are waiting for your questions and your comments, your feedback, and we are really waiting for your you can say criticism, or you can say whatever. So let me know from where you are watching our live. I'm here to reply your comments, your feedback, your questions. So today the humidity is a little bit higher, but anyway, we are not worried about any humidity. We are focused on our work. We have to explore the world, and we have to explore Africa, and we have to explore Asia. So the high level of humidity, the high level of temperatures cannot stop us from doing our work. We are here to face whatever is the difficulties, the situation, the problems, the issues. We have to face and we have to go through. We are fighting for freedom. So freedom fighting for Uganda people is our main theme. So let's see the Khaleej Times, official newspaper from Dubai, UAE. Khaleej Times, it says that Oman says oil spill affects 12-kilometer beaches in Ras Madraka. Very sad news, very bad news for the marine life, for the environment, for the animals in the ocean. This is really very sad. So it says that Oman's Environment Authority said around 12 kilometers of beaches have been affected in the Ras Madraka area after an oil spill on August 6 when a ship ran aground at Al Halaniyat Island. In a statement carried by Oman News Agency, the authority said field response efforts are underway and that no significant pollution effects have been observed at other sites. Although its southern part falls within the potential affected range, the impact from the oil spill has not reached the shores of Masira Island, the authority confirmed. Data indicates the oil spill is moving towards the southeast Musandam Governorate, towards the high seas. Currently, efforts are underway to track and monitor the spill and predict potential affected areas. Fishermen, beachgoers, and general public have been urged to not approach any spotted materials or pollutants and to immediately report them to the competent authorities. Oman's Food Safety and Quality Center also said it is monitoring, investigating, and carrying out field inspection activities to assess the extent of the impact on fishing grounds and to verify the safety of fishery products. The authority has said that it is intensifying precautionary measures which include monitoring fish landing sites, processing plants and fish markets, tracking landing movements and the sources of catches, collecting samples and testing them. So this is the news from Oman. Live, Kuwait condemns Iran attack on the ADNOC vessel. Dubai rider fined dirham 4,000, license suspended. What is happening? Dubai is very strict for the traffic rules and regulations. Any serious violation can fetch huge fines. So the authorities found that the motorcycle's registration had expired and its mandatory insurance was no longer valid when the accident occurred. The motorcyclist has been fined dirham 4,000 and had his driving license suspended for 3 months after a sudden severe caused him to lose control of his bike and crash in Dubai. The Dubai Traffic Court found the Asian rider responsible for the accident after evidence showed that he had suddenly swerving while driving, causing the motorcycle to overturn and sustain damage. The case also uncovered 2 separate traffic violations after authorities found that the motorcycle's registration had expired and its mandatory insurance was no longer valid when the accident occurred. How did Dubai police uncover the incident? According to case records, Dubai Police Operations Room received a report about a motorcycle accident in one of the Emirates areas. A police patrol was dispatched to the scene where officers found that the rider had lost control of the motorcycle following a sudden deviation. The crash caused damage to the motorcycle, particularly to its front and left side. Police examined the accident scene and prepared a traffic sketch to determine how the incident occurred. The investigation concluded that the rider's failure to pay sufficient attention while driving and his sudden swerving were responsible for the accident. Check of traffic records also revealed that the motorcycle registration had expired in November 2025. Its mandatory insurance policy had expired shortly before the crash, meaning the vehicle was being driven on a public road without valid insurance. During questioning, the defendant admitted responsibility for the accident and acknowledged his driving error. He repeated his admission when he appeared before the court asking for leniency. The court relied on the police report, accident sketch, and the rider's admission in finding him guilty. It ruled that the sudden swerving and negligent driving rather than an external factor caused the crash. It also ruled that driving the motorcycle with expired registration and without valid insurance constitute 2 independent offences in addition to the offence arising from the crash. The rider was fined 3,000 for causing damage to the motorcycle through his driving error, 500 for driving a vehicle with expired registration, and 500 for using an uninsured vehicle on a public road. The penalties brought the total fine 4,000. The court additionally ordered his driving license suspended for 3 months. Starting from the date the judgment becomes final, the court said it had exercised leniency when determining the punishment. So, repeated attacks on ADNOC vessels will not deter UAE. Okay, the next news is Dubai Customs foil bid to export 70 million illicit cigarettes to European country. In a new major operation, Dubai Customs foiled an attempt to export more than 70 million illicit cigarettes a pound for a European country. Risk indicators and intelligence-led targeting enabled Dubai Customs teams to successfully uncover 9 shipments across 3 air cargo terminals and link them to a single importer through risk indicator analysis and shipment data review. Teams from the air cargo its management intercepted the shipments in 3 separate operations. After identifying indicators requiring further inspection, the operation uncovered 360,500 cartons of cigarettes containing nearly 7 tons of tobacco concealed inside shipments declared as clothing. Dubai Customs said the operation demonstrated the accuracy of its targeting capabilities and the efficiency of its teams in analyzing data and linking information. Investigators established connections between shipment associated with the same importer despite their movement through 3 different air cargo facilities. The targeting team continued analyzing common indicators after the first shipment was identified and determined that all 9 shipments were linked to the same importer, allowing them to be treated as interconnected cases rather than isolated incidents. Dubai Customs said the seizure also reflect continued investment in its workforce, including developing inspectors and targeting teams capabilities and analyzing shipping data, assessing risk indicators, detecting concealment methods, and identifying document manipulation. Successfully identifying 9 export shipments across 3 air cargo facilities and linking them to a single importer confirms that the strength of the customs operations today does not depend on inspection alone. It starts with information, accurately interpreting risk indicators, connecting them, and anticipating risk before a shipment completes its journey. So this is the news from Dubai Customs. Building a sports destination, not just a sports facility. Okay, what's going on? iPhone 18 lineup revealed iOS 27 beta drops hints hidden in software. Second shift, how women's time after office gets absorbed by more. What is this? What is this going on here? The pressure to keep moving up the career ladder is leaving many ambitious women questioning whether they are progressing quickly enough, even when their careers are firmly on track. From comparing promotions and leadership appointments on LinkedIn to feeling guilty about switching off after work, career FOMO, the fear of missing out professionally, can turn ambition into a constant feeling of being behind. Experts say the problem is not ambition itself, but the tendency to measure personal progress against other people's visible milestones. I spent this much, I should be happy. UAE experts on the pressure to have perfect. Mistook her for wife. Man faces trial in Sharjah for assaulting woman in public. What the hell? What is this? Man faces trial in Sharjah for assaulting woman he mistook for his wife. An Asian man is facing trial in Sharjah for allegedly assaulting an Arab woman in front of her children after mistaking the stranger for his wife amid marital disputes. The Sharjah Misdemeanors Court heard that the incident unfolded while the woman was walking with her children on a street in the emirate. The defendant allegedly approached her and began directing words at her that she could not understand. According to the complainant's testimony, the encounter quickly escalated, prompting her to flee and seek refuge inside a nearby shop. However, she told the court then that the man followed her into the shop where he continued verbally abusing her before allegedly grabbing her by the neck in front of her children. The woman said the incident left her children frightened and distressed as they witnessed the confrontation. She claimed in court that she had never met the defendant before and had no relationship or previous dealing with him. She also said she did not know why he had targeted her. No denial. When confronted with the accusation, the defendant did not deny the incident but offered an unusual explanation for his actions. He told the court that he had mistaken the complainant for his wife because of a resemblance between the two women. According to his account, he had some ongoing marital disagreements with his wife and believed the woman he encountered on the street was her. He said this mistaken identity led to the confrontation. The defendant also told the court that he did not suffer from any illness. The case centers on allegations that his actions endangered the woman and her children and involved verbal and physical assault in a public place. The court has not yet issued a verdict in the case, and proceedings are continuing with additional evidence to be examined. What nonsense is this? People are just playing nonsense. So the next news is Dubai startup Data BP. This is Khalij Times, official newspaper from Dubai and UAE. UAE offers condolences to the Indonesia victims of the deadly earthquake. Today we are receiving very, very sad news from Indonesia. Earthquake just struck the coast of Indonesia. Let's see the detail of this news. This is a earthquake after last week there was in Colombia, huge earthquake, and today is in Indonesia. So there are huge destructions in both the countries. So the UAE has expressed its solidarity with Indonesia over an earthquake that struck the country on Saturday, August 15, which resulted in a number of deaths and injuries in addition to substantial damage to property. In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs expressed its sincere condolences and sympathy to the families of the victims and to the Republic of Indonesia and its people over this tragedy, as well as its wishes for a speedy recovery for all the injured. At least 47 were killed after a magnitude 7.7 earthquake, and dozens of aftershocks struck off eastern Indonesia on Saturday, the National Disaster Mitigation Agency said in its latest statement. Rescue teams have yet to reach Nagiko, the region closest to the epicenter, after landslides blocked roads and disrupted communication, officials said. The quake was massive. The shock was so strong, said Nana, a 51-year-old resident of Talibura, a village in East Nasa. There were 13 of us inside the house and we all ran to save ourselves. So many people died, others injured in today's earthquake in Indonesia. Let's see some news from Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi extends activation period for housing construction maintenance loans. Abu Dhabi Housing Authority has announced an extension to the activation period for housing construction, demolition and construction and maintenance loans under the initiative, which aligns with the objectives of the Year of Family to promote family well-being. 2 additional years have been added to the activation period for construction, demolition and reconstruction and housing maintenance loans. What is the next? The page is refreshing automatically. What's going on? I don't know. Anyway, we have to keep going. We have to keep going for our Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon kills 11, including 3 children, Hezbollah says. Australia on ropes as Bangladesh dominates day 3 of the cricket test match. Lebanon reports 11 dead in strikes that Israel says targeting. At least 47 dead in eastern Indonesia. Instagram unveils more modern wordmark logo in first major refresh since 2016. Unveils more modern wordmark logo. Air India, okay. Al Ansari, okay. Abu Dhabi, iPhone 18 lineup. India cuts windfall tax on exports of petrol diesel aviation. Instagram, what is this Instagram? INSTA. So Nvidia partners with the Wall Street giant to raise 500 billion. This is Khaleej Times. We are just reading the news from Khaleej Times, official newspaper from Dubai, UAE. So the next is Gulf News. Gulf News also another official newspaper from Dubai and UAE. So today is a high level of humidity here in Dubai. Anyway, we have to keep going. We are just hitting back hard on the YouTube new policies. So we have no breaks. We are just moving forward. So the Gulf News says that Iran, Oman agree on maritime map amid Hormuz talks. So some news from Iran and Oman. Trump says he will declare state of Hormuz US territory pretty soon. What the hell? Trump says he plans to declare the state of Hormuz US territory pretty soon after defeating Iran. Escalating tensions over the vital waterway, Iran rejected the claim, while Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran has not decided whether to resume talks with Washington. The US is also preparing to deploy another carrier group to the Middle East. Meanwhile, ADNOC confirmed that one of its vessels was attacked while transiting Hormuz on Friday, with no injuries reported. Follow the updates. Israeli attacks will be met with appropriate response, Hezbollah. Hezbollah said that Israeli attacks on Lebanon would be met with an appropriate response after deadly strikes on the country south on Saturday, urging authorities to halt humiliating negotiations with Israel. Israeli airstrikes on southern Lebanon kills 11. Iran calls for release of U.S. Navy carrier to return after 266 days on deployment. USS Abraham Lincoln to return home after extended West Asia combat mission. The U.S. aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln is set to return home after spending 266 days on deployment. 266 days, including 200 days in a combat zone, acting U.S. Navy Secretary Hung Gao said. The carrier's prolonged deployment has come under scrutiny following reports of low morale and mental health concerns among sailors. The reports have prompted questions from members of Congress and the families of those serving aboard the ship. Gao said the carrier would return to the U.S. soon as part of a planned rotation, while insisting that the welfare and safety of its crew remain a priority. Extended deployment raises concerns. According to CNN, the Abraham Lincoln has been deployed for more than 250 days after being redirected to West Asia to support U.S. operations in the war with Iran, now in its 6 months. Gao said the ship's crew had faced difficult conditions, including changes to meal plans when fresh supplies were unavailable and restrictions on calls home during periods of heightened operational threats. He said a small number of sailors had received treatment of mental health issues during the deployment, but there had been no loss of life. Calls home were limited when the aberration threat was too high. CNN also reported that a sailor went overboard from the carrier last month but was quickly rescued and medically assessed. Details about the incident, including whether the sailor returned to duty or was evacuated, were not released. Thousands of missions carried out. The Abraham Lincoln left its home port in San Diego last November before being redirected to the West Asia. Kao said the carrier had conducted more than 10,000 stories and dropped 1.5 sorties and dropped 1.5 million pounds of ordnance during its deployment. 1.5 million pounds. He also said its crew retention rate was among the highest across US aircraft carriers. There is no question our young men and women have been pushed to their limits, but they have never broken. He acknowledged that prolonged combat deployments bring uncertainty and disruption, saying military leaders must balance operational demands with the welfare of service members. Gao also rejected descriptions of the sailors and marines as victims, saying they and their families had shown resilience throughout the deployment. Their safety and security always comes first, he said, adding that the carrier's return should be marked by a hero's welcome for its crew. Hormuz tension, what UAE residents need to know. Trump vows Hormuz takeover soon, Iran hits back. Let's see this news. We are reading the news from Gulf News, it's official newspaper from Dubai and UAE. We are not blaming on unofficial or fake news. No, we are just reading the official news. So the US President Trump has said the US will declare the Strait of Hormuz US territory pretty soon after defeating Iran, escalating tensions over the strategically vital waterway. Speaking at a political rally in New York on Friday, Trump said the US already had total control of the strait through this blockade of Iranian ports. After we finish defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated, pretty soon I will be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the US, Trump said. He also claimed the US was acting in the interest of the wider world by restricting shipping through the waterway. We have the blockade, no ships get through unless we want them to go, Trump said. Iran rejects Trump's Hormuz claims. Iran swiftly rejected the US President's comments. Deputy Foreign Minister Kazan Garibabadi said on Saturday that the Strait of Hormuz has been is Iranian and will remain Iranian. He said the waterway would be open for closed only under Iran's authority. The Strait of Hormuz cannot be seized with a tweet, an aircraft carrier, an executive order, or a campaign speech. He added that Iran would continue enforcing its blockade as long as Washington refused to accept what Tehran described as its defeat. Hormuz remains heavily disrupted. Trump's comments come as shipping through the key energy routes remain severely disrupted. The 170-kilometer Strait of Hormuz connects the Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and is a major route for global oil and gas shipments. Traffic has fallen sharply since the conflict began, with the US blockade of Iranian ports and restrictions on commercial shipping creating a prolonged standoff. Trump had previously said the strait would be open literally the following day, but shipping remains for below normal levels. Trump defends war despite higher petrol prices. Trump also defended the military action against Iran and said he would never apologize for the conflict despite higher petrol prices. He argued that Americans should accept paying more for fuel if it helps prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. For you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline, just remember you are doing it so that a very evil country cannot have a nuclear weapon. Benchmark Brent crude rose to around $88 a barrel on Friday up about 5% for the week. US-Iran talks remain uncertain. Iran Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran has not decided whether to resume negotiation with Washington. He said Qatar and Pakistan had exchanged messages with both sides, but stressed that these contacts did not amount to negotiation. We are just completed our half an hour recording, so the remaining half an hour will go also smoothly. I'm waiting your questions, your feedback, your what is this? Your comments in the comment section. Let me know from where you are watching our live, from where you are sending me the comments, from which country, from which city. We are here in Dubai International. We are here in Dubai International. So, what Trump's Hormuz plan would mean? The Strait of Hormuz includes the territorial waters of Iran, Oman, and the UAE, as well as international waters. Any attempt to formally incorporate the waterways into US territory would therefore face major legal and diplomatic challenges. Trump has previously made other proposals involving territorial expansion, including suggestions that Canada become the 51st US state and renewed calls for the US to acquire Greenland. US carrier deployment. Trump also dismissed concerns about the lengthy deployment of US Abraham Lincoln, which has been operating in the region for almost 9 months. He said the deployment was not nearly long enough, but confirmed that the carrier would be replaced by another similar vessel. What happened next? The immediate focus remains on whether Washington and Tehran can revive negotiation and whether shipping through Hormuz can return to normal. For now, both sides remain entrenched. Trump insists the US has control of the waterway and is increasing pressure on Iran, while Tehran rejects Washington's claims and continues to assert authority over the strait. Trump-Iran conflict, key developments in the Hormuz standoff. Trump's Hormuz claim. Trump said the US would declare the Strait of Hormuz US territory pretty soon after defeating Iran. Iran rejects the claim. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi said the strait is Iranian and will remain Iranian. US claims control. Iran's response, shipping disruption, oil prices high, talks remain uncertain, petrol price. UAE condemns attack on aircraft vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Flying from UAE, check cancellation. Flying music at work. UAE fees start from dirham 1,500 soon. Restaurant music fees start at dirham 1,500 for up to 50 seats, rising to dirham 4,800 for 200 seats. UAE heat crosses 50 degrees centigrade before weather turns unsettled. Svehan recorded 50 degree plus today as unsettled weather expected across parts of the country. That's why we are feeling high level of humidity here today in Dubai. Man kills self after being denied food at a restaurant. What the hell? Man dies by suicide after reportedly being denied food at a restaurant. Tunisia. A man in his 50s has died by suicide outside a restaurant in the affluent coastal district of La Marsa after reportedly asking for food and being turned away, in an incident that has sparked widespread anger across Tunisia. According to accounts of the incident, the man approached the restaurant saying he was hungry and wanted something to eat. After being told that another meal could not be provided, he left the area without causing a disturbance. He returned a short time later after reportedly buying a razor blade nearby and inflicted serious injuries on himself outside the restaurant in front of passerby. Civil protection crews were called to the scene, but the man died after suffering severe blood loss. News of the death spread rapidly across Tunisian social media, where many users described the case as a disturbing reflection of poverty, social vulnerability, and the pressures facing people struggling with unemployment, debt, and economic hardship. The restaurant later issued a statement offering a different account of the events leading up to the man's death. Management said the man had visited the restaurant earlier the same day and had been given a free meal. He returned that evening seeking another meal, according to the statement, and a brief verbal disagreement followed when staff declined the request. The restaurant said the man then left before returning later and harming himself outside the premises. The statement sought to counter allegations directed at the restaurant after the incident began circulating online, but it did little to quiet the public reaction. Sad news from Tunisia. Tunisia is also part of Africa, North Africa. Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Libya, all is this the north of Africa. Watch UAE Indians fly tricolor in record skydive feat. Zoya Developments sells out Eleanor project in 2 weeks. Wow. UAE's Indian expats share 80th Independence Day dreams. UKPM calls for reflection after death of Jason Ade. Kabul crowds celebrate 5 years of Taliban rule. Dubai falls 70 million illicit cigarettes. Okay. Lara Khalil's husband dies of electrocution in Ghana. What is this? So many news from Africa. So Lebanese singer Lara Khalil's husband dies of electrocution in Ghana. Beirut, the husband of Lebanese singer Lara Khalil has died after suffering a fatal electric shock while in Ghana in a sudden accident that has left his family and those close to him in shock. Engineer Najib Akiki was reportedly in Ghana when a water leak came into contact with an electrical source, causing him to be electrocuted. According to details reported by the Lebanese media, Akiki had not. What is this? Cookies. Cookies. Why cookies? According to details reported by the Lebanese media, Akiki had not been suffering from any known health problems and had been going about his life normally before the accident. The incident is understood to have begun with a sudden water leak at the location where he was staying. Time is here for the Isha prayer, and we are also just 20 minutes away from our closing our first live. The incident is understood to have begun with a sudden water leak at the location where he was staying. With an electrical source in contact with the water, Akiki received a severe electric shock and died at the scene. Khalil received news of her husband's death while he was away from the family, turning what had been a work-related stay in Ghana into a devastating personal loss. The couple had been married for about 20 years and had 3 children. Akiki largely remained outside the public eyes during their marriage, preferring to keep his family life private despite his wife's career in entertainment, who is Lara Khalil. Lara Khalil rose to prominence on the Lebanese music scene in the 1990s and became known to audiences in Lebanon and across the Arab world through a series of albums and songs. Among her best known albums are Ahl al Gharam, Rawak. What is this? There is lighting problem. Lighting is a problem. Among her best known albums are Ahl al Gharam, Rawak, Asabak, and Hikaya. Khalil stepped away from the spotlight for periods during her career, with part of that absence linked to her move to Ghana to accompany her husband and maintain family stability. Khalil stepped away from the spotlight for periods during her career, with part of that absence linked to her move to Ghana to accompany her husband and maintain family stability. In recent years, she had gradually returned to music and released several singles, including Hazo Al-Ard and Mashauda Anna. Her husband's sudden death now marked a deeply personal tragedy after 2 decades of marriage and family life that had largely remained away from public attention. So this is the sad news from Lebanon and the Ghana. So let's see the next news. Today is a high level of humidity here in Dubai. So anyway, we are just 20 minutes away from our closing our life. Bangladeshi expat takes home 100,000 dirham with a single big ticket entry. Govinda reacts to sugar daddy jib over girlfriend link. What is this? Bollywood Rao. Govinda responds to wife Sanita's Ahuja's sugar daddy remark over girlfriend claims. Bollywood actor Govinda has responded after his wife Sanita took a public swipe at him over his recent appearance with actor Komal Rani, calling him a sugar daddy. The comment came after a video of Govinda with Komal at Mumbai airport sparked speculation on social media about their equation. Sanita reacted sharply, questioning the actor's decision to be seen with someone she described as being around their daughter's age. Sanita's remark sparks controversy while reacting to questions from paparazzi. Sanita took a dig at Govinda's appearance with Komal, saying the actor should have a standard and jokingly referring him to sugar daddy. She also questioned the timing of the appearance, suggesting that film promotions usually happen after a project is completed. Govinda and Komal are reportedly associated with the upcoming film Rupa. Govinda wants Sunita over public comments. So, responding to his wife's remarks, Govinda shared a video addressing the controversy and asked Sunita to avoid making statements that could affect his reputation and work. The actor said people entering the film industry should not be humiliated or discouraged, adding that everyone deserves respect regardless of their background. Actor says focus should remain on work. Govinda said his collaboration with younger actors were part of his professional career and compared it with other established actors who have worked with younger co-stars. Govinda and Sunita's long marriage. Govinda and Sunita Abuja have been married since 1987 and have 2 children, Tina and Yashwendra. Anyway, see the next news. We are just approaching close our live after 15 minutes due to high level of humidity. I was planning for 2 more sessions today, but the high level of humidity is really a big problem. Riyadh Air starts daily Riyadh-Islamabad flights. What's great news? Riyadh Air begins Pakistan operations with daily Islamabad flights. Riyadh Air has begun operations in Pakistan with the launch of a daily service between Riyadh and Islamabad, marking the Saudi carrier's latest international expansion and adding a new direct link between the two capitals. The inauguration flight RX-660 arrived at Islamabad International Airport from Riyadh on Friday evening, carrying 69 passengers, according to the Pakistan Airport Authority. The aircraft later departed Islamabad with 272 passengers. A ceremony marking the launch was held at Islamabad International Airport, attended by Nawaf bin Saeed, Saudi Arabia's ambassador to Pakistan, and Vincent Coste, Riyadh Air's chief commercial officer. alongside Pakistani aviation and government officials. The new service will operate daily, once daily, between Riyadh and Islamabad, giving passengers 7 flights a week between the two capitals. So, Riyadh Air will operate the route on two schedules. Flight RX659 will depart Riyadh at 1:45 p.m. on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, while RX661 will leave at 8:10 p.m. on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The carrier will expand its Pakistan network further from August 18 when it begins flights between Riyadh and Lahore. That route will operate 3 times a week on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Both routes will be served by Boeing 787-9 Dreamliners. The Islamabad launch comes as air travel between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan remains particularly significant because of the large Pakistani community living and working in the kingdom, as well as demand from families, business travelers, and religious pilgrims. More than 2 million Pakistani live in Saudi Arabia, working across sectors including healthcare, technology, finance, construction. The airline said the new services were intended not only to strengthen direct travel between the two countries, but also to connect Pakistani passengers through Riyadh to its growing international network. कैसे है भाई साहब? ठीक है, बढ़िया, good fun. Saudi Arabia's ambassador said the launch would further strengthen long-standing relations and air connectivity between the two countries. Pakistani Airports Authority described the start of operation as an important milestone for bilateral aviation ties and said the additional flights would help facilitate passengers' movement and greater cooperation in the aviation sector. Riyadh Air, which is wholly owned by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, is developing its network as part of plans to connect the Saudi capital with more than 100 destinations worldwide by the end of the decade. The launch also coincided with Pakistan's 79th Independence Day, adding a symbolic element to the airline's first arrival in the country. Okay, let's see the next news. Dubai added 186 property developers by mid-August 2026. 2 planes with same flight number avoid disaster. What? Two American Airlines jet with same flight number avoid possible disaster. A potential disaster was averted Friday when a Phoenix air traffic controller recognized 2 American Airlines jets mistakenly were flying the same flight number and acted quickly to avoid confusion and keep them a safe distance apart. Audio of the incident shortly after midnight Friday shows how he found a solution to ensure the planes that were both called American 24882 maintained proper separation as one plane arrived from Chicago shortly after the other and taken off in the Phoenix. I have been working air traffic for 25 years. I have never seen 2 aircraft pretty much merge with the same call sign. That's pretty incredible. The controller said after the departing plane had safely cleared the area. In both pilots, there is lighting problem. What is happening? Sometimes the light is creating problem. If both pilots thought the controller was telling them to fly at the same altitude as they headed toward each other, they might have collided. So it was crucial they knew which plane he was directing. The audio posted by ATC.com shows how the controller quickly started referring to American 2482 on the arrival and American 2482 on the departure to keep the 2 planes straight. The controller kept the arriving plane safely above the departing plane even as their flight paths converged and made sure that the pilots of the both airlines saw each other when they were still miles apart. He also directed the departing plane not to climb too high, so a gap would remain between the planes. It could have been disastrous, but I'm glad it worked out, the controller said. Aviation safety expert Steve Arroy said it's likely that someone inside the airline's dispatch center failed to catch that both planes would be in the air at the same time, with identical flight numbers when both the dispatcher and the pilot signed off on the flight plan. You can drop the ball and that shouldn't happen. But it's nice to see that the system is resilient and we have all the safeguards, said Arroyo, who has only been seen this type of issue a couple of times in his 4 decades with United Airlines. Arroyo started his career as a dispatcher before becoming a pilot. Flight 2482 is a round trip route that often flies back and forth between Chicago and Phoenix. Typically, the same plane goes back and forth, but the flight out of Chicago was delayed by weather, so American found a second plane in Phoenix, and that flight left on time. The result was that both planes briefly shared the same airspace before the arriving flight landed. The Federal Aviation Administration and American Airlines will investigate how this happened. We are just 9 minutes away from closing our life. And they both emphasized how glad they were that everyone remained safe. The diligence and professionalism of air traffic controllers and our pilots ensured required separation was always maintained and the issue was identified and addressed. Both flights continued safely without incident, American Airlines said in a statement. Thank God there was no accident. Air Arabia profit falls 51% amid regional conflict. AFRiCA Air adds 7 Boeing 737 MAX jets in new deal. What is this AFRiCA Air? From which country? India's AFRiCA Air adds 7 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft in latest Avalon deal. AFRiCA Air is adding up to 7 Boeing 737. Okay. 7 ways to spend your Emirates Skywards miles. And Latvian and room to unwind, how bathrooms become sanctuaries. Bathrooms become sanctuaries? How the bathrooms become sanctuaries. Wow. The bathroom is one of the hardest working room in the home. Although its design has often been driven by surfaces that are easy to clean and fittings chosen for their practicality. That thinking is expanding in 2026. Homeowners still expect the room to function efficiently, then also want it to feel comfortable, personal and pleasant. नमाज नहीं जाना नमाज में तो सूख जाएगा ना अंदर एसी लगे जावांगे चक्कर आ गए पूरा जिस्म नाल लग जा ओ ते नाल लग जा मैं तो बाहर पड़ांगा नमाज मुश्किल नहीं है ते नाल लग जाना हो जा ये भाई गर्मी है पी ले आज मैं खोलना है ले दो मैं देना सबर कर मैं नमाज के बाद करांगे हुणे नहीं मैं नमाज के बाद फिर आना है फिर करांगे The bathroom is one of the hardest working rooms in the home, although its design has often been driven by surfaces that are easy to clean and fittings chosen for their particular practicality. That thinking is expanding in 2026. Homeowners still expect the room to function efficiently. They also want it to feel comfortable, personal, and pleasant to spend time in, whether they are preparing for a busy morning or winding down at the end of the day. Recent research supports this growing interest in the comfort. The 2025 Hose Bathroom Trends study found that 36% of renovated bathrooms included wellness-oriented features. Upgraded lighting led the list, followed by soaking tubs, spa baths, and water features. Cleanliness, spacious showers, organized storage, and natural light were also closely associated with relaxation. Smarter layout. Creating this kind of bathrooms begin with the layout. Movement should feel easy with enough clearance around the vanity, toilet and shower. A walk-in shower with a low or flush threshold gives the room a cleaner visual line and improvement accessibility. Built-in seating can be useful for bathing, grooming and anyone with limited mobility. Recessed niche keep products within reach while freeing the floor and ledges from bottles. In larger bathrooms, the bath is being given greater prominence. Designers are revisiting built-in tubs surrounded by tile or stone, which provide useful ledge space and can fit neatly into awkward corners. Interior designer told Homes and Gardens that a built-in bath becomes a stronger visual focal point and adds architectural interest to toiletries, a book, a plant, or a candle without adding another piece of furniture. Warmth and texture. We are just 4 minutes away from closing our live. Just 4 minutes away. Material choices establish the character of the room. Cold grey, brilliant white, and highly polished finishes are giving way to warmer shades and surfaces with visible texture. Sand, clay, mushroom, terracotta, okay, moss, and soft brown bring deeply without overwhelming a compact space. Creamy stone, honed marble, handmade tiles, and timber effect cabinetry introduce variation that becomes more apparent as the light changes. Interior designer AFRiCA described the direction as one of warmth and tactility, with the creamy veined stone and honed finishes creating a softer atmosphere according to Homes and Gardens. These materials can be used selectively. A stone vanity top, tiled shower enclosure or wooden cabinet can provide sufficient warmth when a full renovation is beyond the budget. Mixing the finishes. Bathrooms are also becoming less perfectly matched. Using the one finish for every tap, handle, light and accessory can make a room feel flat. Brushed nickel, polished chrome, aged brass and darker metal can sit together when their tones are repeated with some discipline. Polished nickel has emerged as a notable finish for 2026 with designer AFRiCA naming it her strongest bathroom prediction in a recent Homes and Gardens interview. Its gentle sheen work particularly well with stone, timber and glazed tile, lighting the space. Lighting deserves the same attention as flooring or sanitary ware. A single bright ceiling light may illuminate the room, yet it rarely serves every purpose. Well, a successful scheme combines general lighting with sconces beside the mirror, focused light around grooming areas, and soft illumination for evening use. Dimmers allow the room to change through the day. Warm bulbs between 2700K and 3000K create a flattering, relaxed effect, while good task lighting around the mirror ensures that skincare, shaving, and makeup remains easy. Clutter under control. Storage plays an equally important role in the way a bathroom feels. Cluttered counters can make even a large room appear cramped. Drawers with internal dividers, mirrors, cabinets, recessed cupboards, and built-in shelves give everyday products a fixed place. Storage should be planned around routines, frequently used items belong close to the basin, towels, and accessible shelves, and cleaning supplies can be concealed in a deeper cabinet. Electrical sockets inside cabinets can also keep toothbrush, shavers, and styling tools off the counter while they charge. Personal details. So finally we complete 1 hour. Personality can then be introduced through details that are easy to change. A framed print, patterned towels, a ceramic stool, a vintage mirror, or a small cordless lamp can soften the functional elements. Plants suited to humid conditions add color and texture. Fragrance should remain restrained, especially in a small or poorly ventilated room. The most successful bathroom does not depend on its size or the cost of its fittings. It comes from understanding how the room is used and removing the small irritations that interrupt the experience. Better light, clear surface, comfortable materials, and well-placed storage can transform ordinary routines. The result is a bathroom that supports daily life and feels unmistakably part of the home. So finally, we are going to close our live now. See you after break.